And going to Davis again, underthrown, and this time it's picked off. A one-handed interception by Andrew Booth.
Go Tigers.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back once again to Upset Alert. It is episode number 83. That's right, 83. We have come quite a long way of the Ultimate College Football Podcast, celebrating all 130 teams in FBS. Apologies if the mic was a little quiet kicking off the show there. We're probably back around to normal level where I'm busting your eardrums in here. It is the Halloween edition of Upset Alert today as we preview a full Halloween weekend game, slate of games, I suppose I should say. Lots to look forward to. As always, you know, I'm a positive guy. I like to think every weekend that we get college football, especially in 2020, is a good weekend. As you probably hear my cat going crazy in the background. Apologies in advance for any more disturbances. As one of them apparently is just feeling extra chatty today. But, of course, for those of you, just to get all this housekeeping out of the way, for those of you joining us live on video, thank you so much. We're on twitch.tv/robotbraineater as we normally are every Monday and Thursday. Hello, Baba Joey in the chat. We are just here talking some college football. If you want to be like Baba Joey, join us here live on video. It is twitch.tv/robotbraineater again. We're later uploaded onto YouTube and, of course, onto podcast services around the world. Same day, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, etc. Pretty much any podcast service you listen to, you can find the show on there. And most of you guys do listen later on the podcast, so I try to leave you leave you behind with the video element of the show too much, but I'm going to leave these video highlights running today. I normally use the schedule on there. I'm just going to check the schedule as we pick the games for this weekend on my phone as we go through the different games here. So let's just start things out here. Thursday, so tonight we're going to go ahead and jump right into this, I guess. Tonight we've got a couple of games, and the first one I do have a note on. My buddy, if you guys have been listening to the podcast for a while, you'll know Gabe Thomas, kind of our resident Sunbelt expert. Again, you hear the cats probably in the background there, so apologies for that. Just a quick note that Gabe sent me about his alma mater at Georgia Southern and South Alabama, who play tonight. They're the first game of the weekend, 7:30 tonight on ESPN. So let's take a look here. He says, quick note you may find interesting, Georgia Southern has outscored South Alabama 227-62 and have not lost since Georgia Southern joined the Sun Belt back in 2014. That's including only a 3-point victory last year. So outside of last year being a little bit of an outlier, Georgia Southern has whipped South Alabama's tail in pretty much every game they have played since Georgia Southern came into the Sun Belt. He goes on to add, as we were kind of having a discussion, he says, our defense is really good. They just ran out of gas. I don't think South Alabama will be able to score as easy as they have been on other teams. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. So let's just get right into the predictions here. Georgia Southern is about a 3.5-point favorite in this game. I think they cover that fairly comfortably, honestly. Georgia Southern is a decent football team, I think, this year, as we're watching video highlights of them on the live stream playing Coastal Carolina from this past weekend. They lost 28-14 in that game against Coastal Carolina, but Coastal looks like a really good football team, probably the team to beat right now in the Sun Belt. So you got to give it to Georgia Southern, I think. Both teams actually come in at 3-2 to this game, but I'm giving it to Georgia Southern over South Alabama. 10 p.m. CBS Sports Network. We've got Colorado State at Fresno State. I don't have as strong of feelings on this one. Colorado State actually didn't play a game last week, so they haven't played a game yet as the Mountain West. Goodness gracious, the cat is extra chatty. I'm certain that you guys can hear him in the background now, because I hear him over over the volume of my headphones and everything else going on in the house. So Colorado State, hasn't played a football game yet. Fresno State is 0-1. So pretty interesting. Just looking forward to this one as kind of two unknowns, I suppose. Colorado State, a 2.5-point favorite in the game. I am going to give it to Fresno State, actually, in this one. I think there's something to be said about having played a game already versus having not played a game yet this season. We have seen that factor in a little bit at times. Sometimes not so much, but I am going to give the slight edge to Fresno State over Colorado State in that one. Those are all the games we got for tonight. Tomorrow, we have a couple of them. We actually had one postponed. Number 19, Marshall against Florida International. Marshall is coming into this one 5-0. Florida International 0-3. So if you had to pick one to get postponed, I guess this probably wasn't going to be much of a game. Baba Joey in the chat says, what's your favorite team? I am a Georgia Bulldogs fan personally. I try to withhold my bias as much as possible when doing this podcast, but it definitely comes out at times for sure. I graduated from the University of Georgia, so I don't try to hide it, but I try to keep myself as unbiased as possible. Minnesota at Maryland tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. Minnesota, of course, coming off the loss to Michigan. Maryland coming off the really ugly loss against Northwestern. You got to like Minnesota in this game. They're a 20-point favorite. Give it to Minnesota. Comfortable. East Carolina at Tulsa. That's 9 p.m. on ESPN2. I'm not too interested in this one either, particularly. East Carolina is not a good football team. Tulsa should win this one fairly comfortably. Hawaii at Wyoming, that's 9:45 p.m. on Fox Sports 1 tomorrow night. This one's pretty much a toss-up for me. I think these teams are on a similar level. Wyoming is a 1-point favorite in this game, but Hawaii is 1-0. Wyoming already having lost a game. I'm going to give it to the Rainbow Warriors, one of the greatest mascots in college football at Hawaii. So let's give it to Hawaii over Wyoming on the road there. And then we get into the Halloween slate of games, and there are quite a few of these here. I'm going to try to make this a little bit of a shorter episode than normal, so forgive me if I do start to ramble as I always do, but I'm going to try to get through these without stopping to ramble too much. First and foremost, noon ABC, we've got number 1 Clemson hosting Boston College. Clemson a 32-point favorite in this game. These point spreads for Clemson every week are just absurd. I don't know if they cover a 32-point spread against Boston College. I do think Boston College probably scores a few points, but Clemson, you can pretty much pencil in that they're going to drop 45 or more, somewhere in that neighborhood in this football game. So obviously I like Clemson big over Boston College. We've got number 5, Georgia at Kentucky. That's noon on the SEC network. Georgia, as I was just saying, of course, is my team, licking their wounds after a loss to Alabama and then a bye week. I do think the Dogs win this one pretty comfortably. They're now, that line, I guess, has gone all the way up to 17 points that Georgia is favored by on the road. I think they probably cover that, to be honest with you. I think the Georgia defense comes out with something to prove on Saturday after getting burned a few times by Alabama's receivers. I do think the Dogs will win this one here. Memphis at Cincinnati this noon on ESPN. This is one of the better games, right? We've talked about time and time again the American Athletic Conference, where we have said essentially there's those 4 or 5 teams at the top, right? We talk about SMU, talk about UCF, Cincinnati, Memphis. Last year, you could probably throw Navy in there as well. Maybe not so much this year. But but there's probably 4 teams at the top that anytime any of those play each other, it's going to be pretty exciting stuff. In Memphis at number 7, Cincinnati, noon on ESPN Saturday afternoon. Should be a good one. Cincinnati is favored by 6.5 points, so a touchdown favorite in this game. I am going to roll with Cincinnati in this game. I like the way they've performed to this point. I think if you are a betting man and you are going for a group of 5 team to be a dark horse playoff contender, it is Cincinnati. It is Cincinnati for sure. The schedule strength is right. That if the if the right chips fall right in the right direction for Cincinnati, I guess I'm rambling on a little bit. But if the right teams lose, Cincinnati definitely has a chance to get in here. Michigan, number 13, hosting Michigan State in this game on Fox. That's the big noon kickoff, I suppose, there. Michigan should win this one very comfortably. It's another kind of uninteresting big noon kickoff game. I think we had Kansas State and Kansas in that slot last week. Not too exciting. Maybe 2 weeks ago, actually, that was. But Michigan hosting Michigan State should be a big win for the Wolverines. Give me 3 or 4 touchdowns there. Number 16, Kansas State. Speaking of the Wildcats, they are going to be on the road against West Virginia, noon ESPN2. This one is a little closer, I think. West Virginia, who actually has 2 losses already, is a 3.5 point favorite in this game. I do not get that. I do not get that at all. I am giving it to Kansas State by at least that margin, by at least 3.5. I think more likely they are to win this one by 7 to 10, somewhere in that range. I think Kansas State is a significantly better team from what I've seen thus far than West Virginia is. So give me K-State in that one if you're looking for some easy money this weekend. Number 20, Coastal Carolina, coming in at 5-0, is going to be on the road against Georgia Southern. Coastal has played some close games, and they are only a 2.5 point favorite against Georgia State. I could see it being close. Think about the way Georgia State played against Louisiana Lafayette. Gave them everything they could handle, essentially, in that game. I'm going to give Coastal this one by more than that 2.5 point spread, though. I would not be shocked if it did turn out to be close, like a 2 or 3 point game. But Coastal's going to win this one. I'm pretty confident on that. Give me the points. I'll lay those points for the Chanticleers. I think this is the team to beat. Like I was saying earlier, I do think this is the team to beat in the Sun Belt Conference right now. Iowa State at Kansas, so number 23, Iowa State at Kansas. Kansas, of course, continues to be terrible at football. Iowa State is going to win this one. That's noon on Fox Sports 1. I won't waste much of your time there. We've got UTSA at Florida Atlantic. That is Saturday at noon. This one doesn't appear to be on TV at all, which is a rarity these days, I would say. FAU is a 5 point favorite. They've actually, by happenstance, really by the teams that they've played having COVID-19 flare-ups, FAU has only played 2 games this year, whereas UTSA has played 7. UTSA last week finally got one of those upset wins that they've come close to getting a couple of times so far this year. And I think they might get another one this coming week. It's very close. It's very close to me, but I am going to stick with the favorite. I'm going to stick with Florida Atlantic just by a hair. I do not think they cover that 5 point margin. I think it's probably a 2 or 3 point win for them. UTSA will give them a game, though. Would not be shocked to see them pull an upset. We've got Temple at Tulane. This is noon ESPN Plus here. Tulane, a 4 point favorite. I am giving it to Tulane in this one. These are 2 teams that have not played particularly well. In Tulane's case, more a victim of a tough schedule, I think you would really say, but I'll give it to the Green Wave here. Moving right along, we've got Purdue at Illinois. This is noon on the Big Ten Network right here. Purdue at Illinois. Purdue 1-0 after probably a bit of an upset win last week. And Illinois 0-1, of course, coming into this one with a loss just in the second week of the Big Ten here. Purdue, a 7-point favorite in this one. I think that's justifiable based on the way they played last week. I don't know if Purdue is as good as they looked last week, but they are going to pick up a win on the road against Illinois this coming Saturday. Let's see, brief pause here. Baba Joey says, what team do you think is the best team in the league this year? So far for me, it's got to be, if assuming by the league you mean all of college football, I'm going to say it's got to be Clemson. To this point, Clemson is our number one to this point in the season. There's a couple teams you can make an argument for maybe there, but I think Clemson probably is that number one right now. And in their league, we have noon on ACC Network. Let's roll right along here. Wake Forest at Syracuse. I'll kind of blow through the next couple of these. Wake Forest at Syracuse. Wake is favored by 11.5. I like Wake Forest to roll there. We've got UCF at Houston, 2 p.m., so moving past that noontime slot now on ESPN+. I like UCF there. They're only a 2.5-point favorite over Houston on the road, but I do think UCF picks up the win there. We've got North Texas at UTEP was actually postponed due to COVID-19 right there. So moving into 3 p.m., Rice at Southern Miss. Kind of an ugly game, honestly. 0-1 Rice at 1-4 Southern Miss. I got to give a quick shout-out to some guys who give us a lot of love on Twitter, as I normally do when we get to our Southern Miss predictions. The Sippy Sports Show at Sippy Show, SIPPI on Twitter. They are big Southern Miss fans over there at the Sippy Sports Show, and I think they need some good news because we're talking about a team here. We're talking about a team here that is now moving on to its third head coach of the season. I retweeted a bit of news here from Brett McMurphy's Twitter. Of course, we all know Brett McMurphy from Stadium pretty much tweets all the scoops over on Twitter in the world of college football. He says Southern Miss interim coach Scotty Walden leaving USM to become Austin Peay's coach. Tim Billings will be Southern Miss's third coach this season. That is pretty rough. That's a pretty rough state of your FBS football program when people are leaving your team in the middle of the year to go to Austin Peay to be the head coach there. That is just pretty rough. So got to give some love to your Southern Miss friends. They are in need of it right now. I do think they get some good news this week with a win over a pretty terrible Rice team. Rice, of course, 0-1 with their only game thus far being against Middle Tennessee. So let's give it to Southern Miss there. I don't know if it's a huge win or anything, but something to hang your hat on at least for the Golden Eagles. We've got Troy at Arkansas State. These are two decent teams out of the Sun Belt, particularly Arkansas State here. They are a field goal favorite over the Trojans in this one. This is 3 p.m. ESPN3. I do think Arkansas State is going to pick up a win here. Troy's not a bad team, though. They might keep it close. I do like Arkansas State to get the win. We got number 4, Notre Dame at Georgia Tech. This is 3:30 ABC right here. So we will give this one, obviously, to Notre Dame. Georgia Tech is not very good. They're 2-4 coming into this one, with one of their bigger wins having come against an awful Florida State team. So we are giving it to the Fighting Irish. I don't know if they cover that 20 points because they have played down to their competition at times this year. But it's Notre Dame. It's Notre Dame comfortably. Number 17, Indiana at Rutgers. This is 3:30, Big Ten Network here. I am giving it to Indiana comfortably. Both of these teams actually coming in 1-0. Shouts to Rutgers. I did not have them beating Michigan State. Got to give credit where credit's due. Rutgers, you might be the UTEP of the Power 5 this year. I picked UTEP to be the worst team in college football this year. They have proved me wrong. I picked Rutgers to be the worst team in the Power 5 this year. They have already proved me wrong, probably with just the one win. I thought they had a chance to go winless this year. So shouts to Rutgers. They continue to surprise, I guess, if they were to pick up a win over Indiana. I simply do not see that happening, though. We are moving along. UAB at Louisiana Tech. UAB 4-2 coming into this one, but undefeated in the conference. And Louisiana Tech, not so much. They are 3-3 with multiple conference losses already. I'm giving it to UAB. They are still my pick to win the Conference USA Championship this year. So we are rolling with the Blazers for now, despite the 2 losses out of conference. They're about an 11.5-point favorite on the road in that one. TCU at Baylor, 2 one-win teams playing each other. 3:30 p.m. ESPN2, man. It's hard to believe. Just about 5 years ago, I guess it was, or so, TCU and Baylor was like the sexiest game in college football. It was like 60-59 type of games, triple overtimes, that kind of thing. Just slinging the rock all over the yard, right? It is not that anymore, obviously. It goes without saying. These are not the same type of football teams that we've seen in the past. Baylor doesn't look as good as I thought they would be this year. TCU doesn't look very good either. I guess, going to give it to TCU here. They have one more game under their belt, and I suppose the more quality win of the two with their win over Texas. So let's give it to the Horned Frogs in this one, and a close one on the road. LSU at Auburn. This is, again, kind of two teams who have underperformed this year a little bit. LSU, 2 losses already, including the one, two that we definitely didn't expect, by the way, to Mississippi State and Missouri. And then Auburn with 2 losses as well, and some ugly wins to boot in there. LSU comes in as a 3-point favorite. I do think LSU wins this game. It might be ugly. The quarterback play has improved for LSU. It actually hasn't been that bad, really, all season long for LSU at quarterback. It's a lack of defense that's really been their issue thus far. Auburn doesn't have a defense, and Bo Nix has been really hit or miss. When he's on, he looks really good. When he is off, man, he is just awful. And I have a feeling that LSU, despite some of their defensive issues, they do have guys that are ball hawks. I think Bo Nix makes a mistake or two in this game. I think the Bayou Bengals come out with an ugly win in Jordan-Hare. We got Northwestern at Iowa. This is 3:30 ESPN. I am giving it to Iowa. Northwestern, of course, coming off the shellacking, the beatdown of Maryland, and Iowa coming off a loss in week 1 against Purdue. So Iowa minus 2.5 in this game. I do still think Iowa's a pretty good team. I think they are going to pick up a close win over Northwestern. Maybe not so close. Honestly, I don't think Northwestern's a particularly great team. They just happen to play a terrible team, or at least what looked like a terrible team, in the Maryland Terrapins last week. Number 9, Wisconsin at Nebraska. This one is canceled, not postponed, but outright canceled. And there is a little bit of a storyline here for those of you who have not been keeping up with this Big Ten COVID-19 protocol, the Wisconsin storylines. There is a lot going on here. The long story, or the short version of it, rather, is that after playing their game on Saturday, Wisconsin's starting quarterback, who was already replacing another quarterback, has tested positive for COVID-19 by the Big Ten rules regarding exposure to COVID-19. That means he has to quarantine for 21 days. So therefore missing the next 3 games that they have lined up at Wisconsin. Not to mention the fact that he played in a game and then tested positive a day later. So obviously he had it while he was playing the game. Everybody on the Wisconsin football team essentially has been exposed to him, having played a football game with him that day. So Wisconsin is essentially looking at the potential that they could have 2 to 3 of their games canceled in an already shortened Big Ten season. Lots of hot takes out there on this. I'm not really going to get into any of that kind of stuff on here, but I will just say that's not a good look, right? It's not a good look. You have the Big Ten, who is saying that they are taking it more seriously than anyone else, essentially, and that's why they waited. And then literally the first week of Big Ten football, this is what happens. Something that really had not happened, to my knowledge, to this point in the season, where we had someone playing in a game that was definitely positive at the time he played the game. So some weirdness there, for sure. Like I said, we'll avoid the hot takes on that kind of thing, but hopefully a quick recovery for everyone exposed over at Wisconsin and beyond. We've got Texas at Oklahoma State. This is 4 p.m. on Fox. OK State, one of their toughest tests of the year. They got the win over Iowa State. This OK State team is favored by 3.5 points this week. So the experts are saying they think it's going to be close because Texas is probably better than that 3-2 record. And I think they are a lot better, actually, than that 3-2 record thus far. I think this might be my upset pick of the week. I like Texas to beat the Cowpokes on the road, 4 p.m. on Fox. Mark it, book it. The Longhorns are going to shut the Big 12 out of the college football playoff with a win on Saturday. Maybe not once and for all, obviously. There's still possibility open. But for all intents and purposes, they're going to go ahead and play their way out of it on Saturday. We've got Ole Miss at Vanderbilt. Not a particularly sexy matchup in the SEC. Vanderbilt obviously has been really bad. Ole Miss has looked good offensively at times, but definitely not shown up against Arkansas, for example. So Saturday, 4 p.m. SEC Network. I think Ole Miss comes close at least to covering this spread. It's a 16.5 point spread in favor of Ole Miss here. App State at UL Monroe. This is 4 p.m. at ESPNU. App State has quietly bounced back after that one early season loss. They are 3-1 to this point in the season. They are a 31.5 point favorite on the road against the Warhawks here. UL Monroe is just awful. App State will get this win, and they will quietly start to make their way back toward top 25 consideration. I don't know if they're worthy of that yet, but they will start to creep back into that conversation if they keep stacking up wins here in the kind of meat of their schedule. Virginia Tech at Louisville, 4 p.m. This is ACC Network. Virginia Tech, 3-2, maybe one of the better 3-2 teams that you'll see to this point here. They are a 3.5 point favorite on the road against Louisville. I think they win and cover there. I think this is a pretty good Virginia Tech team. Louisville's offense obviously is legit. Malik Cunningham is the real deal at quarterback. He's the truth, but let's give it to Virginia Tech on the road here. We've got number 25, Boise State, on the road against Air Force. Some more Mountain West action. This is 6 p.m. CBS Sports Network. Give me Boise State. They're a 2-touchdown favorite for a reason. They will win that one. Mississippi State at Alabama. Number 2, Alabama, I should say. Alabama leading by favored by 30.5 points in this game. I don't know if they cover that 30.5 because maybe they take everybody out after a brutal first half. But Alabama's going to win this one comfortably. I think they're going to be a little careful in the second half, especially if they get out to a big early lead, about playing some of their star players after what happened to Jalen Waddle with the injury there, taking him out for the season. I like Alabama, though, to win this one big. New Mexico at San Jose State. This is 7 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. San Jose State got a good win, a great win, I would actually say, last week against Air Force. An impressive win for sure. They host New Mexico, who's not a very good football team. I like San Jose State to make it to 2-0. We've got Charlotte at Duke here, 7 p.m. ESPN 3. Duke is about a 10-point favorite here. I'm giving it to the Blue Devils. They are going to beat Charlotte. It might be a kind of an ugly game, though, to be quite frank. Charlotte, not a great team. Duke, not a great team. Just 3 wins and 7 losses between the two of them thus far this year. Give me Duke, but probably closer than that 10-point margin, I would say there. Number 3, Ohio State at number 18, Penn State, 7:30 ABC. A game that they definitely picked for College Game Day before Penn State lost their first game of the year. But regardless, obviously they were going to stick with that pick, I suppose. So I am going to give it to Iowa State fairly comfortably in this one. They're about a 12.5-point favorite. That feels about right to me for Ohio State. I do think they ultimately win the Big Ten this year. Let's take a look here. Baba Joey says, how long do you stream this podcast? Normally we go probably in the neighborhood of 45 minutes or so. No, it'll probably be a little shorter than that today. Maybe in the 40-minute range or so. As you know, Baba Joey, I do non-podcast related streams, so I'll still do that later on in the evening as well. But for the podcast, it's just Mondays and Thursdays around this time, Monday and Thursday afternoons that we podcast, and normally go in that 40-45 minute range. Let's get into it here. Arkansas at number 8, Texas A&M. This is on the SEC network. So we're definitely going to go with Texas A&M here over Arkansas. I do think Arkansas could keep it close for sure in this one. I actually almost want to pick Arkansas to get the upset here, but Texas A&M, I am going to roll with them. I'm going to roll with the favorite. This one could be close, so could be sneaky. We've got Missouri at number 10, Florida, 7:30 SEC Network alternate here. I'm definitely rolling with the Gators. I know they're without a lot of players right now due to COVID-19, so don't really know the full details. Obviously, they're not releasing for medical record, legal reasons, who is affected. But I do like the Gators to win this game. They're about a 12.5-point favorite there. I'm going to give it to them. Number 22, SMU hosting Navy, 7:30 ESPN2. I'm rolling with SMU. The Mustangs have been pretty good thus far this season outside of a bad performance last week. Of course, against Cincinnati, they have been really good in every other game. Navy has been very hit or miss. I'm going with the Mustangs there, SMU. Number 15, North Carolina at Virginia, 8 p.m. ACC Network. I promise just a few of these left on here. North Carolina is a touchdown favorite on the road against Virginia. Virginia at 1-4 has actually played some quality teams very well this season, and we will get the Tar Heels, I think, winning. Maybe an ugly one on the road here. I like the North Carolina offense enough to say I'm pretty comfortable they're going to cover against UVA, despite the fact that Virginia has played some close games this year against some really good opponents. Number 24, Oklahoma at Texas Tech. This is 8 p.m. on Fox. I do like Oklahoma on the road here. They're about a 2-touchdown favorite. Give me Oklahoma pretty comfortably. That 2-touchdown mark feels about right. I think they probably cover that, actually. Just a couple more here. Louisiana at Texas State, 8 p.m. ESPNU. It's Louisiana for me comfortably. Texas State is just not particularly great. The Raging Cajuns have been one of the better teams in the Sun Belt this year. Outside of Coastal Carolina, they have probably been the best team in the Sun Belt, so give me the Raging Cajuns on the road by at least a couple touchdowns. San Diego State at Utah State. This is CBS Sports Network, 9:30 p.m. Saturday night. I'm giving it to San Diego State on the road here. They're about a 7.5-point favorite in that one. Two more, Western Kentucky at number 11 BYU. This is BYU After Dark action, 10:15 on ESPN. BYU a 29-point favorite in this game. They will score a ton of points on Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky has looked pretty bad, quite frankly, this year. Much worse than I was anticipating. In the preseason, I thought this would be like an 8-4-ish team. They've already lost 4 games in their first 6. So Western Kentucky, definitely disappointing to this point in the year. BYU, Zach Wilson, Heisman Trophy quarterback candidate, we'll say, quarterback, they're gonna have their way with Western Kentucky in this one. I don't know about the 29-point spread, but it's gonna be somewhere in that neighborhood for sure. Nevada at UNLV, 1-0 Nevada, that is, at 0-1. UNLV, Nevada favored by 2 touchdowns in that game, and I am giving it to them. I think they're a decent team out of that Mountain West Conference, right up there near Hawaii and Wyoming in terms of quality of the team overall, I would say. And that's going to wrap us up for our Week 9 preview here. Really interesting weekend of college football coming up this weekend, I would say. Just a lot going on in terms of some various matchups. I think there will definitely be some lopsided games that we were looking at on there, like that BYU game, that Nevada game potentially to close out the night could get pretty lopsided, but there's also definitely some close ones in there, some potential for the upset. Watch out, Oklahoma State against Texas. As always, if you guys want to keep up with the college football action, just the news of the day, the headlines, the score updates on Saturdays, whatever it may be, give us a follow on Twitter at UpsetAlertPod. It is on the screen if you are watching live on Twitch or on YouTube later. It's at UpsetAlertPod on Twitter. You can follow us on there. If you want to check out college football news, we'll be sharing all of it right there. If you want to watch us live again, it's twitch.tv/robotbraineater, later uploaded to YouTube, and then, of course, 2 podcast services. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, whatever your podcast service of choice is, just find us on there and hit us up with a subscription or follow, like. I know different places call it different things, and if you can, take the time to leave us that 5-star review. Helps us greatly to get more eyeballs and more ears on the podcast. Baba Joey in the chat says, I followed your Twitter. Thanks so much for the follow, Baba Joey. I appreciate that. If you want to be like Baba Joey and join us live on video, like I said before, twitch.tv/robotbraineater. We'll read your comments live on the air. We will have you up, make you Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon famous, whatever your service of choice is. Again, just thank you guys so much for listening. We normally, as I said, are Mondays and Thursdays, so today our predictions episode will go up around 7 p.m. or so on podcast services, and then Monday we'll be right back with our Week 9 wrap-up, discussing all the results and the biggest college football headlines from the weekend of this Halloween weekend upcoming here. So until Monday, happy Halloween, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful Halloween weekend, and we will see you later. And we're wrapped up on the audio version of the podcast, so just to finally wrap up on video a little bit. I'll hang around for another minute or two here. Just want to say thanks again, Baba Joey. We will be streaming some, what am I trying to say? Probably some Call of Duty tonight. Your streams are great, funny, interesting, and many things. Thanks so much. Yeah, we do the podcast just twice a week. Sometimes if I'm running off schedule, I won't even do the Twitch stream for the podcast. I'll just put it on the podcast services audio only. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. The podcast normally doesn't get the views like the Twitch streams do, so I appreciate it. Mostly gets just audio downloads. But yeah, I know you've been in our, this is day 4 in a row, I guess we've been with you in streams, Baba Joey. So we'll be on Call of Duty tonight at some point, probably midnight-ish, 12:30-ish, something like that. We'll see. And at some point, I'm going to do some more single-player stuff during the day, too. Not sure when, but I know it's a little bit different vibe doing the podcast. I know I'm not as goofy. It's a little less off the cuff. All right. 5:58. All right. So yeah, I'm right at about the 40-minute mark, or a little past that. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks so much for watching. Again, I'm gonna go over here and see if anybody is streaming that I know. And we'll see if we can hit them up with a little raid action. Telly TWA is actually playing some Call of Duty right now. He's in a band called The Word Alive, if you've never heard of them. It's not for everyone. It's heavy music. But thank you very much for saying good stream. Hope you take care as well. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm going to go ahead and send you over to Telly. And hopefully you guys have fun with Telly. And we'll see you tonight for some Call of Duty. Yeah. See you guys later.